What's up, everyone? Welcome back for another Comic-Con 2022 interview. This is the other half of the cast of the show that I love so much. If you are not watching Ghost, what is wrong with you? Go binge Ghost. It'll brighten your day. Seriously, congratulations on your wonderful show.
Thank you so very much. We're thrilled with the response that we've gotten for the show. Yeah. We're so happy to be shooting season 2. We're a very happy, loving family. And yeah, thank you.
The lady does protest too much.
We are a
really happy, very content family. And it's
no issues.
It's most of our first time at Comic-Con, and we've had a blast.
Yeah,
it's been absolutely surreal. We just did a panel with 4,000 people, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not just talking to my Sims. Like, I was just so hyped to be around folks. It's been a blast.
I mean, Rose, you're the pro, so I assume you gave everyone tips.
She's our mother.
I am. I'm an old hat. I love Comic-Con. It's so fun. It's so many, like, it's such a joyful place. It's where, I don't know, people come out and get to be the best version of themselves. I'm so grateful that people dress up and come from all over the country to see people talk about their shows, and like, it's amazing. It's such a privilege to
celebrating
get to be here.
the things we love together. That's
Seriously.
why I love it here.
Yeah.
So I'm repurposing a question I already asked you, Rose, because it's fun and I liked your answer. So we were kind of playing around just for fun. So it's going to get a little dark. Let's say for the 4 of you, real you fall down the stairs. When you come to, you're able to see ghosts. Who in your life, like a real person in your life, would be the first person you tell that you can see ghosts that would actually believe you? Do you remember your answer?
Oh gosh.
I know it.
You didn't tell me you were quizzing me on something I may have said.
It was Jennifer Morrison.
Oh, that's fair.
Very
That's
good choice.
Jennifer Morrison.
Yeah, that tracks. I stand by that.
Who is your ghost-seeing confidant that actually believes that you could see ghosts?
I'm gonna say my pal Darcy. She would know. She would be the most game.
Darcy Carden, everybody, the absolute hit actress we're dying to get on our show.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but I would tell her. Yeah, because I feel like she'd be the most game, ready to go.
Wait, did you say she should play Asher's sister? Because that would be really good casting.
That would be fun.
I didn't, but
No,
I
I didn't know.
I love that.
So who would believe you?
My grandma Una, without question, because she swears that she sees ghosts. So she would be like, oh yeah, okay, great. Who's here? Have you met Fred? I'll be like, not yet, Grandma. Who's Fred? So like, it would definitely be her without question.
I love it. Mine would be my husband, Lap, because he believes most of the things that I say generally. And we also enjoy believing every time we see a butterfly, we think that it's his dearly departed grandmother. And so every time we see a butterfly, we say, Ama. And so I feel like he's already halfway on board.
I do that with a red bird in my backyard.
Do
It's my
you?
poppy.
Oh,
My whole family
It
does
always
it.
kind
yeah.
of, does it appear just right at the right moment?
Oh yeah, without
so do
a
the
doubt.
butterflies for us, yeah.
I love that so much.
My dear friend Midori Francis would be the first person who would believe me.
why?
She just would. She's just that's
just
saying
classic
that's
Midori.
classic Midori.
Yeah.
That Midori, I see ghosts. Really? Okay. What are they saying? What are they? And we'd be right down that rabbit hole.
I love it. That question makes me so happy. I had to bring it back. All right, let's start to get into season 1 and I guess a little season 2. Rose, I'll throw this first question to you. So one of my absolute favorite scenes in season 1 is the kitchen scene. But I'm wondering if we feel echoes of that conversation
Wait, what's the
in
kitchen
season
scene?
2, where everyone like professes their love for
Oh.
one another and Sam is fully dedicated to the ghost. It's beautiful. But I feel like it's one thing to feel that, but it's different when you actually say it out loud and it could change her behavior. So is that the case in season 2 at all?
Yeah, I think, there's a deepening that has happened between the connections of everybody, but between the ghosts within themselves and also the ghosts in the livings, and even like Jay to the ghosts. Like, I often say this, even though he doesn't communicate with them directly, he understands them a lot better than Sam does some of the time. He's more inclined to believe things. He's more open-minded in a lot of ways. So I feel like the depth, and like, we've all professed love to each other now. That's like a pretty major way to go, and you've professed a lot of love, actually. Nige. You and Nige. So there's a lot this season that we kind of get to unpack further and further. Yeah.
Oh, we are going to get into that scene as well. But sticking with that kitchen scene first, you do this a lot throughout the entire season, but that scene in particular does feel like a masterclass in balancing real heart and emotion and also perfect, like pitch perfect one-liners. So anyone jump in on this. When you're doing a scene like that, can you feel it working in the moment? Do you have confidence that that shift is happening just as it needs to?
Do we have the confidence? That's a really good question. I think definitely, I think that there's an instinct to not want to make it too saccharine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to undercut it. And I think what we start to feel is maybe when it's, because a lot of times we'll just sort of like do coverage and you just sort of like hit that one line, and it's our editors that do such a great job of being able to find that balance of tone. But at the same time, as a performer, I think we do try to get together a lot of times in those big group scenes and understand what the major core of that, what's the fun thing that we want to play with, and then also at the same time try to find that rhythm or that musicality, if you will, Rebecca's favorite word, in order to make sure that those beats are hit. Because I think like the death of the show is when it gets too saccharine, and you don't want any moments like that.
I think we also all believe that. I mean, I feel like my company all has impeccable taste. So if it feels like we're delighting one another, I think we feel like we're onto something good. You have a really great moment in oh yes,
but I definitely feel like, I know Alberta was like bawling by the end, but a part of me was crying for real on set, because I was like, wow, I'm really lucky and grateful to be a part of this incredible group of actors. And it's been such a learning experience for me being, as my first series regular. And these people really are dope. Like, coming to work every day in the middle of a global pandemic feels, surreal. And this group is so special and kind and giving. So I was like, oh my God, this must be the end of season 1. I can't wait for season 2.
She's going to cry right now.
I feel it in these conversations, and I also think you can feel that behind the scenes connection radiating off the screen, and that's an extra layer that makes this show so special and really connect with people. It's important. All right, let's get back to that moment. The reveal, the final expression of love that we've been waiting for the entire season. I was reading that wasn't always in the roadmap for him. So what was it like finding out that not only was it going to happen, but it was going to be one of like the biggest beats in the season finale?
It was nice. I think what's really fun is that it kind of forces the character out of his own comfort zone, or it puts this character where we don't know where he's going to go next, which I think was really, really exciting. I was really grateful that the writing staff decided to take it that way, which I think is good too, because you can play those fun closeted jokes a lot, but then I think at some point you want to just try to level up and like find what that next thing could be for that character. But I think I was surprised that he ended up coming out myself towards the end of the season, which was nice.
When it's a surprise for you like that, just for you getting into the character's headspace, why did that feel like the right moment for you?
I think why did it feel like the right moment? It felt like the right moment. Well, I think simply because
years.
Yeah, it had been 200. Yeah, the clock was ticking. I think, it's just like this coming out story, and it feels like it was seeded well throughout the season. And then I think to have that extra oomph behind it, because it's been 2.5 centuries of somebody dealing with something that people in the living world go through, in their own times, but never that long. So I feel like it was like, let's just see what happens and what comes out. And he sort of like just dips his toe when he comes out.
It's a beautiful moment. I love it
that's
quite
very
a
sweet.
bit.
Thank you very much.
All right, Rebecca, for you, I need to ask about the possession episode. First, what was the collaboration like with Utkarsh so that he could nail your performance through his own?
Well, he did such a great job, and he really deserved to go, to be let wild, because he has a very difficult job. And he confessed to me that he'd been stalking me several weeks prior, and he, I think, understands the musicality of Hetty quite a bit, and he is himself a musician, which I think goes a long way. But it was a great tribute, because it wasn't an impression necessarily, but he channeled not who Hetty is in season 1 and who we've come to know her to be, but he channeled her inner unleashed, uncontrollable desires. I mean, she would never do those things, drink all the wine and eat all the Cheetos and but she would want to. And so it was a wonderful collaboration. I'm barely in that episode, but I feel like I'm so much a part of it, thanks to his wonderful work.
And because you had built such a strong character, and we were all so invested in Hetty's journey. We want to feel her break free. We want to have that. So kudos to you.
One of my favorite performance beats of the entire season is you on screen in that particular episode. And it's when you say to Rose to basically not live your life with any regrets, because that whole episode does play into the comedy of it all especially well, but there's also this tinge of sadness that runs throughout the whole thing. So, I mean, this might be me overthinking it, but what was it like figuring out how heavy to make that line delivery so it doesn't take away from the comedy of it, but it is the gut punch that it needs to be.
Well, it's nice when there's that, and this show I think does it so beautifully. That there was that juxtaposition. I think I talk about how glorious gummy bears were just moments before, and then only in looking at Rose does Hetty discover in that moment, you have a chance to go to Paris, or whatever going to Paris means to you. Don't let it slip by. And it happened in that moment. And again, we all truly do have this wonderful partnership together on screen, and such lovely give and take. And so the only work I really had to do in that moment is to look at my scene part, and to look at Rose, and to look at my character's descendant, and the playing of that scene felt like it had to just be that way. Yeah. And to have it be bookended by also, then I think I say some ridiculous line about, and also thank you, P.S. and not for nothing. Very, very nice of you not to tried fornicating with me. So we add levity all the time, and I think that's what makes it work.
I don't know how you guys do it. All right, so for Trevor now.
Yes.
I love the reveal of what the deal was with the pants, but it did make me wonder, just for your own head, for some backstory, of that group of friends, what do you think it is about him and maybe what happened before those particular events in his life that made him the one to step up and break the bro code?
That's a great question.
You are really great at this.
My brain's fried after a long day of Comic-Con, but I'm still on fire.
This is great. No, truly. Yeah, no, this is awesome. I want to answer.
Yeah. You want to take a shot at it?
Well, here's what my backstory.
There you go. One of the fun things about that is, and that we move fast, right? So we had like 5 days to figure out what is the dynamic of Trevor with his friends that he lived with, right? That bro group, right? And I remember having a discussion with the Joes saying, okay, so what is it that he is a member of this group, but there's a side of him that is beyond them, or is it that he's a member of the group who just never belonged? And it was the former, that he's in there, but he's also not in there. And I think there's a relationship with having a younger brother in the Pincus relationship that then gets flipped with the ghosts, because in many ways, Trevor is the younger brother with the ghosts. And I think there's something in that dynamic of kind of taking care of the little guy that pulled him in, but not enough for him to completely abandon the bros or the secret and the lies and stuff like that, but enough to say, I can't do both. Or at least I should say, that he can do both, that he can take care of this guy and keep a foot in with the group.
I could see it. I could feel it. All right, Danielle, for you now, I'm going to ask about the relationship with Pete, because she does kind of turn him down in season 1. But I was watching another interview you did where you said you wanted to see that relationship reemerge in season 2. So what do you think Alberta could gain from spending more time with Pete? How can she grow?
Well, first of all, I've never been, a romantic interest to anybody on TV. So this is just so delicious to be able to play with Richie Moriarty, who is an incredible Pete. I would also say, Alberta's a delicious diva from the 1920s, and she's raucous, and, she's a truth teller and drinks a lot of Sazeracs. But also, we haven't seen, her beautiful side of her vulnerability. And I'm excited to explore that for season 2, and the love triangle that may happen between her, Nancy, the cholera ghost, and Pete. They literally are Brandy and Monica, the boy's mind. They're fighting for their man, and that's okay. And Alberta's gonna win. She gonna win.
Oh my God, I hope it gets real intense too.
I'm ready.
You bringing up Nancy immediately brought me back to the conversation she has with Pete, where she upholds the lie and basically says she's proud of him, and that's another moment that I just love so much. All right. Group question now. What is something that your character learned over the course of season 1 that added an extra layer to them that you've enjoyed playing with thus far while making season 2?
Your questions deserve
These are really great. Yeah.
I'm going to clip this out and put it in a reel somewhere and save it forever.
This one came early, and it was such a in the scope of the season ended up being a very small thing, but I think it set up dominoes for later on. The moment that Trevor thought that he might be a father. I don't think in the moment had such an impact, but as the season goes on, and then you get to see what Stephanie does to him, and how he's on the receiving end of it all of a sudden, and then being around Sam and seeing her in a day-to-day life, and kind of having this access to these women who he would have otherwise objectified, and but I think the beginning of it was, oh my God, I have a daughter.
I feel like for Sam, she's a misfit. Like have you noticed Sam doesn't really have friends round to the mansion very often? She was as we discover in the Ghost Prom episode. I mean, we dive into she's not kind of thriving in a social setting.
She is, but in a different sense.
No, well, she's found one.
Different kind of
She's
crew.
found a dead crew that are stuck with her, and so that's been really promising. No, but Jay, her husband, is like, I think he's much better adjusted socially.
So true.
No.
I'm like going back through, and I'm like, she's a single person.
Well, that's why she's the Farns bees. She's really like the fishing line.
She has a sister now too.
No, well, she has her friends in the Ghost, and I do think it's the first time. On a serious note, like, I think Sam actually feels like belonging. I think she's got a fractured relationship with her mum. I think we don't even know where her dad is at this point. We haven't discovered that part of the story, but we know that she is desperate to belong and desperate to fit in. She wants so badly to impress like Jay's sister Bella. Like, that is the most tragic, desperate, sort of clingy Samantha at the moment, and I love it because I think it gives you a lot of understanding for where her desire for control comes from, for where her struggles that she goes through with trying to manage everything all of the time come from. So I always think of her as desperate to accommodate, like in a show about accommodation. She's very, very keen to accommodate and make people like her, force them to if she has to. So yeah, hopefully she learns something.
For Isaac, I think it's just like learning like that Alexander Hamilton is remembered and he is absolutely not. Like the moment early on in the season where he like Googles himself and discovers he is literally a footnote in history, I think that's sending him on a spiral path, but also in a good way and a bad way.
I would definitely say for Alberta, it's making her family proud, specifically her father. And I love the nugget that they've added in Alberta's fan that she's Caribbean, which I am as well too. But something recently that I realized about Alberta in season 2, she gets to perform. And that's all I'm kind of going to say about that. She gets to perform and do a little flashback into the 1920s.
Tease
and hearing the applause, because I haven't been on stage since 2016 as a theater girl. Hearing the applause for the first time since then, I was like, this is what feeds this woman. And I think every time she enters the room with a ghost, she's like expecting that, and they just turn her down and they gaslight her. And it's like, well, I'm still going to be fabulous. So I'm excited with Pete to, like, you know what I mean, explore that as well too. And I think Hetty for sure is like, sis, you died of a heart attack. She's like, no, I was murdered. So that it's that applause that I'm like, I think she's always trying to get back to.
That's good. And I must be, I don't know. I mean, because I would have been there, certainly. So I might have something at stake in trying to gaslight you about this issue. Yes, Brandon?
No, I said,
Yes. And this flashback, by the way, to the 20s, which happens early in season 2, is going to be gorgeous, amazing. It's hard for me to answer that because Hetty has experienced such tremendous growth over the course of the season, and largely due to the love and the influence of the women in the house. I mean, she initially is disdainful of Samantha and her harlot hair and all these things, and she she has an awakening that's engendered by her love of Alberta, that women should possibly vote, and then in the vault episode with everyone gathered around, I think Hetty realizes only in that very moment that she's capable of moving on and not necessarily tied to these, antiquated gender roles. And we'll see where she goes from there. I think she might take it a little too far, and that's all. Well, maybe, I don't know if it's too far. She lets her hair down a
good.
bit in season 2. That's all I'll say.
Like a million more questions I could ask you. I have to let you go. I know you got a dinner to get to, and thankfully season 2 is right around the corner, so I'm sure I'll bug you again
You
soon.
are truly
This
one
has
of the
been
best
so fun.
interviewers.
Yeah, these
You're
questions
so
are
great
really
at what
are.
you do.
so
Thank
My
good.
heart's I don't even know if I could do a proper outro now because my heart's about to burst.
oh my gosh. Well, if it does, I hope you become a ghost.
Oh,
Yay!
yes. I would like to live with all of you. Seriously, thank you so much for your time today. Congratulations. And to everybody out there, go watch Ghosts.